Hi, I'm Glenn Whipp with the Los Angeles Times. We're about midway through the amazing first season of The Handmaid's Tale on Hulu. Joining us today, she plays Serena Joy, the commander's wife, possible architect of Gilead. Yvonne Strahovski, welcome.
Hi.
Hi. Or should I say, blessed be the fruit.
Blessed be the fruit, praise be.
So, episode 6 dropped today.
Yeah.
Maybe people have watched it, maybe not. It's a great episode for you, so we're going to talk about that some right now, and if people haven't watched it, just maybe come back to this at a later time, go and watch it now. But we finally learn about Serena Joy's kind of backstory, what she was up to before Gilead. Mm-hmm. And we finally see her outside the green dress, too.
Yes.
You got to wear a different costume.
I know. It felt like a completely different production when we read the script, and we have to go into all these Serena Joy flashbacks. And on the day also, it felt like we weren't part of The Handmaid's Tale anymore, because it felt like such a leap to go into imagining what Serena Joy might have been like pre-Gilead. Because myself, I spent so much time investing in this very brittle, bitter, brutal, all the B words, the nasty B words, and there's one more. Investing so much of that into Serena, present-day Serena, as we meet her as an audience, that the leap felt really huge going back into time.
Right. And even, there's some intimacy between her and the commander in the previous time, too, that's completely absent in present time.
Yeah, and that was one of the, that's sort of, it's very beautiful that we get to see their connection prior, but it's also incredibly sad to know that they were once in a good place in their relationship, and they had that taken away from them. And that was one of the big things that I attributed to Serena and her bitterness and sadness to where she is now, because I see a woman who has been stripped of so much, and in Gilead and the society that we're portraying, women are not allowed to read and write, and Serena in particular, she was an author and a spokeswoman, and so she very much had a relationship with the English language in a work sense, and to have that taken away from you means that you have it taken away from you also in the way that you relate to other people, including her partner, the commander. And when you add on top of that the idea that you're not allowed to connect sexually or intimately with your partner, then all of that seems like a really, really big deal. And it felt like she was very empty and stripped of a lot of her identity in a way, and placed into Gilead where there's nothing really left to fill those voids with. But what makes it complicated for Serena is that she was one of the people that wanted it to be this way,
Did she imagine it being like it is, though?
I don't think she imagined it being this way. I think initially, like with any movement, I think there was some kind of pure good integrity behind what she was trying to do, this idea of domestic feminism, which I think for Serena stemmed really from the idea of empowering women to follow their biological destiny and empowering women to go down that path and be in the home front and raise children in this world where birth rates have fallen and we live in a poisoned earth. So I think that good intention was there to begin with, and we see that in these flashback scenes. She has this idea of a second book and creating reproduction as a national resource, as something that is compulsory in some way. But somewhere along the line in constructing this new society of Gilead, she lost her own voice as a woman, and she was asked to step out of the room, or told rather that you don't have a voice anymore, you're not allowed to speak. Because in making the show also, there were scenes that I very much bumped on, for example, the ceremony scenes where there are the three of us in this very strange sex scene, and I always had to ask myself, how would any woman, including Serena, a woman of faith, where she believes that her scripture tells her that this is the right way, what woman would actually sit back and be okay with this, be okay with what's happening in front of her to another woman, and also what's happening to her as a woman? There was so many things that came up.
It's awful for all three of them.
Yeah,
Least awful for the commander.
the commander, yeah.
But still
But still
a little
awful.
for, because
Right.
yeah, there's a pressure and there's a obvious weirdness
Yeah.
going on. I mean, it's just crazy. The title of the book that she wrote, A Woman's Place, and it's really interesting how you describe what this kind of feminism, because it sounds not so good, but in the way of the world that's going on with the falling birth rates, I mean, she really believes that this is kind of what needs to be done.
I think so, and I think she believes that with a pure intention like that, there comes sacrifice. And I think that's one of the things that why she is striving to keep surviving in this world that oppresses her as well, because she really believes that she too has to give a sacrifice in order for this world to flourish and for humanity to flourish again. I think it seems like she's very resentful of the fact that she is having normal human emotions that one would have
Yeah.
within these parameters that she's built around herself.
Yeah. And she gets asked a very pointed question in this 6th episode, which isn't really giving that much away by saying this, but she gets asked, did you imagine a society in which women can no longer read your book? When I heard her being asked that question by another woman, that's just like it had to be like a dagger through her heart. you know?
Yeah.
But she can't react, can she?
Well, that's the thing. It doesn't. At this point, she's so deep into this society that rebelling for her would be incredibly dangerous. Also, she too is stuck, and I don't really believe that she's in a headspace where she truly understands the consequences of the society beyond her own bubble, really. I mean, I think she does, but she chooses to sort of ignore it. I don't think she's ready to truly feel the impact of what this society has done to humans, to women especially.
Makes me curious, will she come to that realization?
I don't know.
There's some good possibilities, I think, for episode 10, 2nd season. But I think what we see in this 6th episode, that maybe in this relationship between the Waterfords, she might be kind of the brains of the outfit. You know what I'm saying?
Right, and you go way back in time and you see the first seeds being planted of how this society came to be, and it does come out of Serena Joy's mouth.
Yeah.
But again, somewhere along the way, it gets very skewed and goes in another direction that I don't think, that's where I don't think she had a say in it. But that's not to say, her actions are forgivable. She definitely was part of creating it, and she definitely uses her power as her outlet in a world where there are no outlets, and there's it's not like you can kick and scream or run away or get a divorce or leave the country. You can't do any of that. So I think, she still enjoys her power because there isn't much else, and she abuses her power, and she uses Offred.
Yeah. There's a chilling scene. I mean, I think you're right. She's absolutely culpable. There's a really chilling scene pre-Gilead of the Waterfords in a movie theater. It's shot like so much of this TV series, so cinematically, so striking. And they're sitting in a movie theater, and the plans are being set in motion to assassinate members of Congress and all the plans. And she tells Waterford, well, we're saving them. We're doing God's work. That's just like, ugh. Anybody who's that certain that they're doing God's work is a very interesting character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that idea of religion driving politics and how intertwined that is in a lot of places in the world, including the States, And how dangerous that can be. I mean, obviously, the show depicts a very fundamentalist sort of idea, regime taking over that turns it into a very totalitarian kind of government. But it's alarming because, you know, you see interviews with Margaret Atwood, and she'll always say that when she originally wrote the book in the 80s, that it was always about the content of the book had happened at some point throughout history or was happening at the time, and it's always been relevant. And it's crazy to think that this book has been around since the 80s, and here we are in 2017. Is it 2017?
Sometimes it doesn't feel that way, but yeah.
Sometimes it doesn't feel that way, yeah. And here we are, and I think this show, people are really responding to it, and it seems that it really is appealing to people's fears about what the world is coming to, or people living in the States, and the discussions that are going on about you know, gay rights and women's rights, all those headlines that have been coming up, and especially since the very divisive election, which we were shooting around. You know, we started shooting the show well before that.
Yeah, I remember talking to Elizabeth Moss and Joseph Fiennes about shooting the show, and the day after the election, they shot a scene where the commander tells her, well, you know, change maybe it's a scene between you guys, and it's about change and how not everyone benefits
Better
from
never
it.
meant better for everybody. Yeah.
Some people not so much. Yeah, and that was shot the day after the election and kind of took on a new
whole new meaning.
Yeah. We had a lot of questions from readers kind of wondering any lessons that you took away. A woman named Leah wanted to know what lesson you took away from The Handmaid's Tale. Is there a cause now that you're more vocal about, having, you know, filmed this TV series for a season?
I think I discovered more of my inner feminist in doing this show. It's been very empowering and enlightening being a part of something like this that sort of reaches the top levels of amazing entertainment, but then goes way beyond that and really speaks to people about real things and things that are going on. And I mean, I know that can sound cheesy when I'm saying that, but truly this show is really speaking to people in that way, and it's forced me to have to be more articulate about these issues. And it's also, I mean, for me, I'm an Australian, you know, I came from Australia and I've lived here only for 10 years, and it's been 10 years of playing catch up in American politics. But it's very hard to turn away because it can seem like a big fat circus a lot of the time, especially in the last, you know, year. And so it's really, it's just been very interesting to be a part of this process of going through making a show like this and contributing to that while watching everything going on in the world at the same time, but also playing one of the bad guys, one of the villains. And as an actor, not agreeing with Serena and judging her and not relating to her, but really having to take away all that judgment and find what really makes her, what makes her hot, you know, laugh, cry, angry, and try and add that humanity to her and those emotions. In the book, you know, Serena Joy is written about, obviously, a lot, but they don't really explore. Margaret didn't really go back into her backstory, and
she's an older woman,
emotions, and she's older too. So, you know, doing this role really gave me an opportunity to try and find her humanity, which was a difficult task because she's so brutal and harsh, and you know, I had to come to terms with her and justify her. So I'm spending all this time justifying someone's behavior who I don't like, but I'm justifying it at the same time because I have to play it, you know. And then all that stuff that comes with that when you reflect that onto the real world and you look at people in positions of authority who have either put themselves there or been elected into positions of authority, and you wonder whether they're looking at the bigger picture and really rooting for everybody and everybody's rights versus their own survival in the bubble that they're in, you know, which I think is a lot of Serena's issue. She's in a bubble at the moment.
A cage.
A cage,
Yeah. Well, I think, I've seen through episode 9. I'm not going to talk about 7, 8, or 9. But I think you do understand, based on a lot of what her husband is doing, why she is like she is, why some of those emotions, why some of that brittleness, that emptiness, I think it comes out, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very empty world, and it's a world where, as humans and as women, we're pitted against each other. And there's no real way, no traditional way like we know now to connect to people. Even a touch of the arm is very dangerous or taboo.
Yeah.
And the consequences can be very dangerous and life-threatening.
Right.
There's nowhere to go, and there's no way to connect. And I think that really, I would imagine that would wear thin on everybody.
Yeah.
And so many of those scenes were about trying to connect,
Right.
or just rejection of some kind, even
Right.
with Serena and Offred, which is a very strange relationship.
It is, and there's like these little fraught interactions where, I think it's in episode 6 where you tell her to make sure she looks good or presents herself well, and she kind of replies, I look good in red or something like that, right?
Yeah.
I wear red.
Red's my color.
Red's my color,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And it's like, well, and she catches herself. It's like, oh, I shouldn't have said that out loud. It's like one of those things that we hear Offred's inner monologue.
Right.
Like, she said this
She
out
said
loud.
it out loud.
Yeah, and there's like this look between the two women, and you're not sure, because Serena's been kind of harsh before, but there are moments
There's a
of
moment.
understanding. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's so much. Lizzie and I talked about this when we were shooting those scenes. There was so many surprise moments of power play and power struggle, but also those moments of connection where here you have two women who are absolutely not really supposed to be connecting. There's not really a platform for them to connect on, yet they have these moments. But even amidst so much of this going on between the two of them, there are these moments, because at the end of the day, you're human, and what do you have if you don't have human connection?
Yeah. Let me get to a few questions from readers, or at least a couple. You shot this for what, like 6 months in Canada?
Yeah,
right?
5 or
A lot of
6
people
months.
wondering about your Canadian experience.
My Canadian
Yeah,
experience.
what your favorite place in Canada? What you liked about Toronto?
I loved Toronto. I really loved it. I'm excited to go back there for season 2. I spent a lot of time trying to decompress in nature, which is usually my thing, especially with someone like Serena Joy, trying to get away from her for a second. So I spent a lot of time around Lake Ontario, actually, and just walking the beaches and the bike trails, and I kind of got obsessed with the beach gloss situation in Toronto. That people are probably wondering what beach gloss is, but there it is.
We had a lot of questions. Chuck fans are just tenacious. You're still being asked about Chuck.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, this was a show that fans saved, pretty much. So fans are not going to give up on the possibility that Chuck could sometime come back in a movie form. I mean, is there ever any Chuck talk?
I don't know. I get asked this a lot, and it's not up to me to answer, really, because I'm not the one that, made it all happen in the first place.
It was kind of fun to be asked, right?
I guess,
These people will not let it go.
Yeah, look, never say never. There are many shows who bring back their cast for, like a 4-episode special or a movie of some kind, so you never know.
Yeah. Lee said congratulations on season 1 and season 2 being picked up. Do you have anything that you're doing in between these 2 seasons?
Well, I got to work on the Predator movie with Shane Black, so that was something I did right afterwards in Vancouver.
Okay. What did you do? What is your role in the Predator?
I am not allowed to say. So
Is it more
have to look for
fun than, it sounds like maybe?
look, I think anything's more fun than playing
Yeah. So,
Serena Joy.
so any type of escape from that green gown.
Yeah. It's
Okay.
actually kind of the color of the seat that you're sitting in right now.
Yeah.
And I'm in the
So-
red one. Look. See, look at this. Handmaid.
It was
wife.
symbolic. Yeah, we should have switched places, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we've been asking these questions for everyone who's come in, so I'll throw them your way. What is the last show that you binge watched?
I am currently binge watching Girls. I am a late bloomer with the show, but I'm completely binge watching Girls. I'm into season 2 now, while also binging on Lena Dunham's podcast in my car. So I'm having a full Lena Dunham experience right
Girls
now.
seems like a good antidote to Handmaid's Tale.
It really is. I am thoroughly enjoying it. I really am.
Good.
Yeah.
If you could go back and be on any classic television show, what would it be?
On any classic television show, oh gosh, it would probably be something like the BBC version of Pride and Prejudice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love classic novels. I grew up on reading all of them, and yeah, to be something like that.
Okay. What was your first acting job that you got paid for?
My first acting job that I got paid for, I'm pretty sure, was this, I think it was a Pepsi commercial. It was a 15-second bit where I wore these colorful knee-high socks. My hair was really, really curly, and I was jumping up and down on a bed like I just won a prize. And they were promoting some Pepsi competition or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that fun? How old were you?
Oh gosh, I was
Like
20,
Okay.
no, yeah, 22 or something. Yeah, can't remember.
Yeah.
So old now.
Well,
Been ages.
congratulations so much on. I can't wait for the final episode. There's going to be some fireworks coming up. And congratulations on this season. And I mean, the show being renewed for season 2 was kind of a no-brainer, I think, based on all the. I mean, what's been the attention that you've gotten in walking around the past month or so? What do people? What's been the response?
I just think what's most striking is people, like even journalists, they just want to have a real conversation about what the show is sparking within them. So that's been the most exciting, because it's not often that you get to have real conversations surrounding a show that you're on or a film that you're doing. Yeah, it's been really inspiring, and I'm genuinely interested to hear what people have to say and have these conversations.
Well, thanks for coming in today and having this conversation.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
For more of these talks, please go to latimes.com. Thanks for watching.